Okay, now Joseph being sold by his brothers. More evidence of why you should not have favorites when you have kids. Now his brothers had gone to graze their father's flocks near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, As you know, your brothers are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I am going to send you to them. And just check up on them. Very well, he replied. So he said to them, Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, What are you looking for? He's looking for his brothers. He went there. His brothers aren't there, so he's just wandering around. He replied, I am looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks? They have moved from here, the man answered. I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So I guess, they just wanted to change the scenery or something. I don't know. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. And this is why you don't show favorites. Now, the story doesn't go into... I guess this is Joseph is obviously Jacob's, Israel's, whatever, favorite son. Give him a nori robe. But what other things is Jacob doing? How else is Jacob treating Joseph? His brothers hate him so much they want him dead. Here comes that dreamer. Well, yeah, that too. They said to each other, Come now, let us kill him and to throw him into one of the cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. Like, oh, you don't have these great dreams? Well, not if we kill you. You're going to be king over all of us? Not if you're dead? Yeah. Now, I, being an only child, have no idea why anyone would hate the brother so much. Or, I guess in some cases, their sister. Where there is a sister. But I'm sure you have siblings. Yeah, imagine if you had a sibling, your parents treated like royalty, and you were non-existent. They were practically an only child. Yeah, you would be mad. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Why would Reuben do this? Well, he did get Jacob mad at him after he slept with his wife. That could be it. It's like, sorry, Dad. Another reason was maybe he just, like, yeah, I really hate him, but killing him is not the right thing to do. I have more reason why Dad hates me. Let's not take his life, he said. Do not shed any blood. Throw him into the cistern here in the desert. Don't lay a hand on him. So Reuben sounds like the good guy here. He really does. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So he's hoping they will just forget it. Like, no, we can still just throw him into the cistern. We don't have to kill him. And they'll, like, come back. They're like, Joseph, you're saved. Quick, grab this for take. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the richly ornated robe he was wearing. So his glory is being taken away. Interesting. The beats are similar. Anyway, he was wearing the robe. Yeah, imagine You're both 16. Your parents buy your brother or sister a Ferrari or something. They don't get you anything. And then at your place of work, your parents tell your brother or sister to go check on you. And they show up in the very Ferrari. Yeah. And they took him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty, there was no water in it. That hurt. As they sat there to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Yes, Ishmaelites. No, there is no contradiction here. You will see why. Some people think there is. No, the authors aren't dumb. Maybe, just maybe. We need to learn the ancient context and compare the Bible to other ancient sources to see if what we think is a contradiction is just a common writing style. We need to stop comparing it in our 21st century view. Anyway, their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain from if we kill our brother and cover up his blood?" It sounds like Judah is having a change of heart, right? And a lot of people of the documentary hypothesis will say yes, because the kingdom of Judah wrote this to make Judah look like the good guy. Yeah, if it stopped here, yeah, Judah would look like the good guy. If it stopped here. If Judah's like, come on, let's just take him out and take him back to our father. But no, come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. Like, no, let's not kill him. Let's sell him into slavery instead, because that makes Judah look so much better. It totally doesn't, no, in the story, Reuben looks like the good guy, Joseph is the innocent victim, and Judah is this crazy guy. You know what? Murdering him is a little too harsh. Let's try slavery instead. His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, Midianite, but it says Ishmaelite. Yes, it does. It does say Ishmaelite. A lot of tribes back then, and groups of people, had different names in different contexts. That was just a common thing. You had more than one name. We know it's this in Egypt and other Canaan sources. It's just done that way. Also, these could be Midianites living with the Ishmaelites. Merchants came by. His brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites who took him to Egypt. Also, I know what, a redactor. Every time the documentary hypothesis is brought into question, it's always a redactor, therefore making the hypothesis unprovable. The same thing that with the same logic that the universe was created last Tuesday. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. So he probably went off, stuff with the sheep. Oh, but they did not forget about him. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" They got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see if it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph surely has been torn to pieces." So he was in a position of glory and honor. or in honor is taken away from him or set aside. Then, and his own people betrayed him, giving him over to Gentiles. Yeah, Joseph's own people, his brothers, betrayed him and gave him over to Gentiles. The people of Israel betrayed him. Not all of the people of Israel, but there were people among Israel who betrayed him and gave him over to Gentiles to do what they wished with him. And of course, there was a group of people who didn't want this to happen and stayed close to him. But there is a little bit of a difference. Instead of, no, we didn't kill him, they did kill him. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, which was a mourning tactic back then, and mourned for his sons many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him. Daughters, so apparently his mother and daughter. They're not mentioned though. Interesting. Or it could just be people signed agreements or something with them. That's also a possibility back then. But he refused to be comforted. No, he said, in mourning I shall go down to the grave to my son. They really messed him up. His father wept for him. So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites, Sumerian Pentateuch, Septuagint, Vulgate, and Cyrillic, also in verse 28, Masoretic text, Midianites, sold Joseph in Egypt to Potter, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Okay, so now we are, I guess, done for the year. Next year, anyway, next year, there will be a break from the Joseph story as we follow what Judah is going to do next, which is not going to make Judah look any better. So no, it wasn't written by a southern kingdom trying to make Judah look like the best person ever, and this is why Judah rules. Oh, no. I question your motives, documentary hypothesis, people. Why does the Hebrew story have to be wrong? Why do they have to be such liars all the time and so stupid not to even notice these contradictions? Huh? What are you trying to say about the Jewish people? Okay, maybe not all of you, but you. And maybe it's just, the only reason you're doing this, even unconsciously, is just to support your atheism. Because you know that if you accept this, you might have to accept that God is real. And your cognitive bias might be getting in the way. You might not be intentionally doing this. But yeah. Anyway. So, Inspiring Philosophy has a video on this Genesis story called Who Sold Joseph into Slavery. I will link in the description. Apparently he's Richard Steiner is one of the people that helped him make the video. Anyway. Oh yeah, and someone made a point in the comments. Christopher Flux. I remember this contradiction coming up years back but it's easy to explain. Imagine we read an account of the American War of Independence. The first part of the account says that the American defeated the British Army. The latter part of the account claims that the Americans defeated the English Army. Good point. Is there a contradiction? Of course not. Also, yes, the documentary has possibly splitting the text because first thing, Joseph just like appears and disappears throughout the story. If you try to split it, in Spanish class it goes into way more detail. And this is probably one of the biggest points in the documentary hypothesis, and it's messed. Yes. And then you can go into more things, more like comments. How are the Ishmaelites? Well, I mean, Ishmael has been around for longer than Isaac, and also it could just be a small band of them. And Ishmael did have 13 sons. Um, Also, they could have just been with the Midianites that got bigger quicker. There could be a lot of reasons. Anyway, that's today. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's someone said. If each has an average of six children who survive to adulthood and marriage, Ishmael would have around 26 children generation. 13 plus 13 times 12 grandchildren. That is 182 descendants of his tribe. Wow. That is some okay. That see you next year. Bye.